Step softly. Imagine your mind as a forest bathed in soft morning light, where each neuron is a delicate branch reaching toward unseen sunbeams. The air hums with invisible currents, small electrical whispers carrying messages between trees, each connection a possibility, each spark a story waiting to unfold. You move slowly through this living network, feeling the subtle rhythm of thought, as if the forest itself is breathing alongside you. At first, you notice the patterns, the gentle arching of dendrites like the curling of ferns, the steady pulse of axons resembling streams winding through moss-covered soil. These pathways are not rigid, they shimmer with flexibility. You sense that even when a branch is broken, even when the path is disrupted, the forest does not stop. Tiny shoots of potential emerge, searching for light, forming new connections, weaving the fabric of recovery. This is the quiet resilience of your mind. A soft breeze carries the memory of past experiences. Each gust rustles through the leaves, reminding you that every sensation, every thought, every fleeting emotion has shaped the contours of this forest. Here, in this gentle space, you are neither rushed nor judged. The forest simply exists, offering space to explore, to observe, to wonder. You follow a winding trail that feels familiar yet constantly renewed, knowing that learning and healing are not destinations but continuous, unfolding journeys. Pause for a moment to notice the forest floor. Tiny glimmers catch your attention, synaptic sparks, flashes of insight that light up momentarily before fading into the calm. Each spark is an idea, a connection forming in silence. Sometimes, paths intertwine unexpectedly, guiding thought in surprising directions. You realize the forest thrives on curiosity. It bends and grows in response to gentle attention, stretching toward experiences and discoveries. Here, growth is patient. Neurons whisper to one another, coaxing new branches into existence. When injury has pruned a path, the forest finds an alternate route. You see the beginnings of recovery as small buds emerging from familiar trunks, tentative but persistent. The air seems richer near these sprouts, alive with possibility, filled with the gentle hum of emerging function. Your presence does not disrupt but encourages this unfolding, a witness to resilience rather than a master of it. As you wander further, notice the soft interplay of light and shadow. Some areas of the forest are dense, tangled with complexity. Others are open, luminous with clarity. This contrast reflects the mind's own rhythm, the moments of confusion, the spaces of insight. Each shadowed glen holds potential for growth, each sunlit clearing offers reflection. You realize that neither light nor shadow is permanent. They shift subtly with attention, experience, and care, much like the gentle cycles of sleep and wakefulness that support the forest's quiet flourishing. You pause by a stream that twists through the forest floor. Its surface ripples with reflections of the canopy above, an ever-changing mirror. Water here symbolizes the flow of neurotransmitters, the fluidity of thought, and the nourishment of ideas. You dip your hand in the current, feeling the coolness of possibility. Notice how even when stones obstruct the water, the stream does not cease. It curves, it rises, it finds new ways to continue. This is the nature of thought itself, adaptable, persistent, endlessly inventive. A bird sings from high in the canopy, a simple call that seems to echo in every corner of the forest. Its song is a reminder that communication within this vast network is constant and varied. Neurons converse in flashes of electricity, glial cells murmur support and care. Everything participates in the delicate balance of structure and spontaneity. The forest thrives because it is both orderly and unpredictable, a harmony of pattern and freedom, a reflection of your own inner life. In the quiet moments, you sense the forest's subtle energy, the way information pulses like wind through branches, how connections form and dissolve in delicate choreography. You recognize the role of attention, the gentle act of noticing that strengthens pathways, much like sunlight encourages the growth of leaves. Your mind is capable of nurturing itself, of fostering resilience, of creating new trails where old ones were lost. And in this, there is hope, not a sudden transformation, but the slow, steady emergence of potential. Walk slowly along the moss-covered paths. Feel the textures underfoot, the soft give of life beneath each step. Observe the branching patterns above, the intricate design that supports every spark of thought. This is a landscape both vast and intimate, external yet inseparable from your inner awareness. You realize that exploration itself becomes a form of healing, that curiosity and attention are gentle medicines, coaxing growth in ways both visible and hidden. You come to a quiet clearing where the sunlight pools like liquid gold. Here, the forest pauses with you, still and receptive. You sense the richness of networks forming, the gentle pulse of connection expanding outward, touching everything with possibility. Tiny buds glimmer along familiar trunks, small promises of future insight, subtle whispers that the forest is alive, always learning, always resilient. In this space, you feel the beauty of continuity, the elegance of recovery as a process rather than an endpoint. As the day's light softens, the forest begins to prepare for night. Shadows lengthen, and a calm hush falls across the pathways. You notice that even in darkness, growth continues quietly, invisibly, beneath the canopy. This is the subtle magic of the brain, the unseen, patient work that transforms, strengthens, and renews. You feel a sense of wonder, a gentle connection to the vast, unfolding intelligence within you. And as you pause in the dimming light, you realize that every step through this forest, every moment of attention, every spark of thought, leads naturally toward the next discovery. A question arises softly, like the first evening star appearing in the sky. If this forest of thought is so alive, what new landscapes might awaken when you learn to listen even more closely? You settle into a quiet corner of your mind, feeling the soft hum of life within. The room around you is still, but inside, currents of thought ripple like gentle waves on a dark, reflective lake. Each idea, each memory, flows along invisible paths, winding and bending like rivers through an endless landscape. You realize these rivers are not fixed. They curve, they shift, they forge new channels as you touch them, as you notice them, as you move through your life. In your hand, you hold a small, delicate stone. Tossing it into one of these internal rivers, you watch the water ripple and sparkle, each wave a tiny spark of possibility. This stone represents a new experience, a word, a question, a sudden insight. The current carries it forward, and where it touches, the river reshapes itself. Paths that seemed set and solid, the old bridges of habit, bend just slightly, opening to new flows, new currents, new connections. The rivers of your mind are always listening, always adapting. Every synapse is a tiny bridge, a sparkling junction where electricity and chemistry meet in a delicate dance. You imagine standing on one of these bridges, feeling the rush of signals beneath your feet. These signals are electric whispers, passing along the stories of your day, the weight of your laughter, the sting of disappointment, the soft warmth of comfort. Each spark reshapes the bridge itself, strengthening it here, forming a new link there, erasing old scars, and building possibilities you cannot yet name. You realize that each thought you have is like tossing a pebble into a pond, ripples traveling far beyond the point of origin, touching unseen shores. You breathe slowly and let your awareness sink into the deeper waters of memory. There, in quiet pools, lie fragments of your past, shimmering faintly like moonlight on water. Some memories are crystal clear, edges sharp and bright. Others are softened by time, blurred and comforting, like a familiar melody half remembered. When new experiences brush against these pools, the reflections change. You see not only the past as it was, but also as it could be, as it might inform the future. The brain, in all its fluidity, allows you to dance with both, weaving lessons, joys, and regrets into a tapestry that is never finished, never static. Learning, you notice, is not a hurried race, not a pursuit that ends at any age. It is a patient, meandering journey, a dance of connections that can begin anew in any moment. Each time you read a word, meet a person, or pause to observe the world, your neurons form new pathways. They are pliable, resilient, capable of rebirth even after injury, even after trauma. You feel a gentle warmth rise within, the kind that comes from knowing the mind's rivers do not run dry, that the currents of hope, curiosity, and understanding are always ready to flow again. You close your eyes and let yourself drift along one of these currents. Imagine a river splitting into tributaries, each carrying a different shade of experience. One tributary holds the joy of discovering something previously unknown. Another carries the soft ache of forgetting and the quiet grace of remembering differently. Yet another meanders through the landscapes of imagination, where what could be flows freely alongside what is. You float along these waters, feeling the gentle tug of each current, noticing how they intertwine, cross, and diverge, always reshaping themselves, always inviting you to follow, to explore, to learn again. And then, you notice the subtle hum of connection beyond the individual rivers, the larger streams that carry impulses from one region to another, linking sight, sound, movement, and thought. It is here, in these grand confluences, that the magic of adaptation occurs. You stretch a hand into the water and feel the pulse of learning, the quiet power of growth. You remember moments when a new skill was acquired after repeated practice, when an idea once foreign became familiar, when a seemingly impossible understanding arrived softly, like dawn light spilling across a calm sea. All of these experiences were currents, flowing, touching, reshaping the rivers within. In this quiet riverine world, mistakes are not failures. They are pebbles dropped into the stream, creating ripples that forge new paths, sometimes surprising and delicate. You let go of any sense of hurry, any need to control the flow. You notice how even the tiniest changes, a single thought repeated, a single practice, can reshape the landscape. Each small act of attention, each mindful observation, is like a gardener tending waterways, gently guiding currents without forcing them, allowing the mind to find its natural course. You linger at a bend where memory and imagination meet, noticing how one supports the other. You see that recollection is not merely a recording but a reconstruction, fluid, ever adapting. The river of the mind does not cling to the past, it integrates it, transforms it, and sends its energy forward. You understand, with a soft clarity, that every act of learning, every new insight, is a conversation between what has been and what might be, between the known and the as yet undiscovered. The rivers are generous, never exhausting their capacity to carry you forward, if only you let them flow. A quiet thought drifts to you, healing itself as a current. When trauma strikes, the rivers may be dammed, diverted, or narrowed, but the same pliability that builds memory and skill can restore flow. You imagine small rivulets carving through blockages, gently reshaping their paths until water runs freely again. Each tiny movement, breath, thought, observation, connection, is a current nudging life back into its channels. You feel hope in the tactile rhythm of these mental waters, a reminder that the mind's work is never done, that growth is possible even in the quiet aftermath of pain. As you drift along, you notice the whispers of other rivers, distant but perceptible. These are the flows of creativity, of empathy, of understanding beyond yourself. Your own currents mingle with them subtly, exchanging energy, shifting, resonating. You feel, in this moment, the infinite potential of connection, both within and beyond, the unseen threads that link your mind to the world, to other minds, to the rhythm of life itself. And now, with each breath, you feel a gentle settling, a quiet readiness to rest. The rivers continue their course, even as you pause, carrying all you have learned, all you have remembered, all you have imagined, toward places you cannot yet see. You sense, without urgency, that the journey of understanding continues, flowing steadily, patiently, endlessly. You begin by noticing the quiet beneath your skin, a soft hum of life that is easy to overlook. The muscles, tendons, and ligaments are not just mechanical fibers, they are pathways of communication, vessels carrying subtle messages to and from the mind. Imagine them as rivers, hidden beneath the surface, carrying currents of sensation that ripple through your being. In these rivers, water moves slowly at first, hesitant, but persistent, and the flow awakens when you pay attention. Your fingertips trace a line across your forearm, and the sensation awakens more than touch. Electrical signals dart along neural highways, connecting sensation with memory, with emotion, with awareness. Each small, mindful gesture is a spark, a gentle bridge between your physical presence and your conscious self. There is no rush here, only a rhythm of presence that gradually permeates. You feel the subtle changes, almost imperceptible at first, as the neurons begin to respond, re-establishing connections that may have dimmed in the quiet of rest or inactivity. As you move through your space, perhaps stretching arms toward the ceiling or rolling shoulders in a slow, deliberate circle, your brain watches attentively. Neural circuits, like dormant seedlings in fertile soil, awaken under this careful, deliberate attention. Movement becomes a form of conversation between body and mind, each small gesture a word in a dialogue that is ongoing, patient, and attentive. There is an elegance in this choreography, a delicate negotiation where neither the body nor the mind dominates, but each listens and adapts to the other. In this process, breathing becomes a guide, a rhythm to accompany the unfolding dance. Inhale slowly, letting your chest rise, feeling the ribs expand like gentle sails catching the wind. Exhale with a soft release, a river returning to the sea. Each breath is a measure of presence, a reminder that the body is alive, awake to itself, and capable of responding with grace. The air is more than oxygen, it is a medium of connection, linking your inner awareness with the outer reality, each inhalation drawing in life, each exhalation returning it, transformed by the act of mindful attention. Your mind, often scattered and tangled in the threads of thoughts and obligations, now finds a quiet resonance in this slow unfolding. Attention is the key, simple and profound, like a flashlight illuminating pathways in a dark forest. You notice the small sensations, the warmth of blood moving through veins, the gentle stretch in muscles, the pressure of bones against the floor. These are the landmarks of presence, subtle yet unmistakable when observed without judgment. Your awareness becomes a companion, walking with you along the contours of your own being, patient and unhurried. As you continue, subtle micro-movements reveal themselves. Fingers flexing, ankles rolling, a gentle tilt of the head, all orchestrated without effort, guided by the quiet intelligence of the body. Each micro-movement activates neurons that have lain dormant, re-establishing pathways and strengthening connections. There is a science in this unfolding. The brain's plasticity, its remarkable ability to adapt and reorganize, responds to the tender invitations of attention. Each tiny motion is a teacher, and you are both student and observer, learning the language of your own nervous system. Imagine now that these movements are like streams flowing through dry valleys. At first, the streams are thin and hesitant, cautious of the terrain, careful not to rush or disturb the earth unnecessarily. But as more water joins, as attention continues to flow along these paths, the streams deepen, widen, and begin to nourish the landscape around them. Muscles regain tone, tendons regain suppleness, and the brain strengthens its connections. Each sensation is a drop in this growing river of awareness, contributing to a larger ecosystem of recovery and balance. Recovery, in this sense, is not a destination but a journey, a choreography of patience, presence, and gentle persistence. It is not about forcing change or demanding results, it is about allowing the subtle processes to unfold, trusting the intelligence of the body and mind to harmonize. You move in small, mindful increments, appreciating the elegance of each gesture. There is a poetry here, in the way the body responds, in the soft whisper of neurons firing, in the quiet acknowledgement that healing is both physical and mental, simultaneous and inseparable. Your mind may wander during this practice, as minds often do, but you return gently, without judgment, to the body, to the sensations, to the present moment. Each return strengthens the bridge between thought and experience, weaving the fabric of harmony more tightly with each mindful return. There is a rhythm emerging: movement, observation, breath, return. It is a slow unfolding, a dance without choreography, guided only by awareness and care. Even the act of stillness becomes part of this dance. Pausing, you notice how the body settles, how muscles release tension in gratitude, how the mind quiets when attention rests on sensation rather than distraction. Stillness is not empty, it is fertile, a space where neurons communicate without interruption, where the body recalibrates, and where the mind softens. You feel a connection to yourself that is intimate, gentle, and profound, a reminder that care does not always require action, only presence. Touch, too, can be a bridge. A soft pat on the shoulder, a gentle stroke along the arm, or simply the awareness of your own hands resting on your body, can awaken circuits in unexpected ways. Each touch is a signal, a gentle encouragement to the nervous system, a whisper that says, notice, respond, exist. Your brain and body respond in kind, strengthening connections, amplifying awareness, and reinforcing the subtle harmony that is emerging. As you move, breathe, touch, and pause, a sense of integration grows. The body, once a separate vessel of sensation, and the mind, once a wandering observer, begin to merge in rhythm and awareness. The subtle dialogue becomes richer, more nuanced. Neural pathways bloom, connections multiply, and the quiet energy of restoration spreads through you like sunlight warming a shaded valley. Awareness and presence are no longer separate, they are a single stream, flowing in unison, reflecting a gentle truth, that harmony arises not from force, but from attentive, tender engagement. This chapter of your journey is a soft awakening, a preparation for deeper exploration. Your body and mind are learning the language of each other, translating signals into understanding, motion into awareness. Each breath, each movement, each touch is a verse in a poem of recovery, a quiet melody that resonates with the intelligence of your own being. And as you settle into this harmony, a quiet thought arises. If awareness can awaken dormant rivers within you, what other hidden streams might yet flow when given attention, patience, and gentle care? Close your eyes, and listen. Within your head, a gentle hum stirs, almost imperceptible, yet everywhere. Tiny sparks leap from neuron to neuron, a soft orchestra rehearsing in the dim light of your awareness. Each synapse opens like a tiny doorway, letting signals flow through corridors of thought. You feel this hidden music not in your ears, but in the spaces between your thoughts, in the quiet places where no one else can reach. You imagine the brain as a vast concert hall, its walls lined with echoes of past experiences. Broken instruments linger in the corners, memories frayed by time or stress, notes that once rang clear but now whisper faintly. Yet even these broken instruments find their voice again. A neuron fires, a signal leaps, and suddenly a melody emerges where there was silence. You rest in the understanding that your mind, like this orchestra, is resilient. It doesn't need perfection to create harmony, it only needs movement, connection, and patience. With every breath, you sense currents traveling through this hall. They twist and turn, finding old paths and discovering new ones. Imagine yourself walking between the rows of chairs where memories sit quietly. Some are worn and faded, others bright and resonant. You notice the soft glow of thought as it passes from one synapse to another. Each spark is like a small lantern, illuminating hidden corners of your inner world. You feel the warmth of these lights, the gentle reassurance that even small impulses can bring clarity. Your thoughts are musical notes, and your actions are the conductor's baton. Even when a note seems out of place, it contributes to the unfolding composition. A misstep here, a pause there, and the rhythm shifts. You do not need to judge these notes or force them into order. Simply observing them, noticing their rise and fall, allows them to find their place in the ongoing symphony. You feel yourself drifting along with the music, each wave of impulse softening the edges of tension, smoothing the roughness of thought. The orchestra is never silent. Even in moments when you think nothing is happening, synapses hum quietly, exchanging signals that carry the history of your mind. The hum is persistent, patient, waiting for you to tune in. You sense patterns forming, subtle but undeniable. Perhaps a memory you thought lost surfaces gently, a forgotten melody returning with the ease of a familiar lullaby. You rest in this continuity, knowing that your brain, though fragile at times, is endlessly creative, endlessly adaptive. Picture now the tiny synaptic gaps as spaces in which possibility dwells. They are neither empty nor still, they are pregnant with potential, ready to carry new signals, new connections. Each thought you allow, each breath you take, sends a ripple through this liquid network. Even small movements, a glance, a gesture, a fleeting feeling, produce currents that flow across this intricate map. You feel connected to something vast, a universe within your own head, where each impulse contributes to a pattern larger than yourself. You may notice moments when the orchestra stumbles, when a note falters or a rhythm pauses. These moments are not failures, they are rests, invitations for reflection. The music shifts, not in haste, but in a gentle unfolding. You understand that your mind is not a machine to be perfected but a living concert, capable of surprises and improvisation. You give yourself permission to listen without judgment, to feel without urgency. The very act of noticing the hum is part of the healing, part of the quiet restoration taking place. Imagine, now, a gentle conductor moving through the hall, guiding this orchestra with invisible hands. The conductor is not you, nor is it anyone else, it is the natural intelligence of your own neural architecture. Every time a signal leaps across a synapse, the conductor nods, acknowledging the contribution. You, the listener and participant, are both audience and musician. Each breath you take, each moment of awareness, is another note in the evolving symphony. You feel the satisfaction of presence, the calm of knowing that even the smallest activity matters in this intricate dance of electricity and chemistry. Time itself seems to bend in this concert hall. Minutes stretch like warm, soft fabric, and yet the music continues without hurry. You follow it gently, like a river flowing through a forest, noticing every shift in tone, every gentle rise and fall. Each thought, each impulse, moves like water, sometimes pooling, sometimes cascading, always persistent. You sense your mind learning, growing, reorganizing itself as the orchestra plays on. Healing does not demand loud declarations, it thrives in subtle rhythms, in soft repetition, in the patient unfolding of connection. Now, imagine a single note rising above the hum, a memory, a thought, a spark of inspiration. It travels across the synapses like a firefly moving through the twilight. Around it, other sparks respond, creating harmony, counterpoint, resonance. You feel the beauty of this small interaction, the way one thought can ripple outward, touching countless others, weaving an unseen tapestry. You understand that even fragile, fleeting moments can create meaning, and that your mind contains countless such possibilities at every moment. The orchestra's hum deepens, enriched by layers of quiet activity. Signals cascade like gentle waterfalls, and every neuron contributes its tiny vibration to the larger song. You feel a sense of unity, a sense of completeness, as if your entire being is both witness and participant in this ceaseless, patient music. You notice that no two moments are identical, the symphony evolves constantly, responding to your awareness, your breath, your subtle shifts in attention. You rest in this gentle dynamism, appreciating the delicate balance between activity and stillness. As you continue to listen, you recognize that healing and restoration are part of the music itself. There is no need to push or force. The brain, like the orchestra, knows its own rhythm. You allow yourself to float in this understanding, feeling the slow, rhythmic waves of thought and impulse. You sense a quiet power in the very act of observation. The soft acknowledgement of your inner symphony strengthens the connections, reinforces the patterns, and nourishes the harmony. Finally, you notice that the music does not end, it transforms. Every note leads naturally into another, every pause gives rise to motion. You feel the subtle pull toward the next movement, toward the questions and explorations that await in the next chapter of your journey. The orchestra does not demand you follow, it simply invites you to notice, to rest, and to trust in the quiet unfolding of your own inner symphony. You step softly into the quiet corridors of your mind, where the air seems thick with the scent of possibility. Each memory hangs like a delicate lantern, flickering faintly in the dim space. Some burn steadily, bright with the clarity of frequent recall, while others tremble in shadow, almost forgotten. You notice the edges of these older memories, slightly frayed, threads loose from the loom of your past experiences. It is here that the mind shows its astonishing capacity, a quiet, patient way of repairing itself, of reshaping the very fabric of who you are. The threads of memory are not rigid. They bend and stretch as you breathe, as you think, as you imagine. You reach for a memory of a place you loved long ago. The details are faint at first, the curve of a tree branch, the echo of laughter in the distance, the scent of rain on stone. With gentle attention, the memory begins to shimmer. Like threads of gold and silver, it stretches, intertwines with other fragments of recollection, and slowly, imperceptibly, becomes more vivid. Each time you touch it, the pattern changes, neuroplasticity at work. The brain is not a static library, it is a living tapestry, capable of reshaping itself according to what you notice, what you choose to explore. Even forgotten spaces, those dim corners where memories seem lost, are not gone. They are waiting, like seeds under soil, for the right conditions to sprout again. You wander through one such space, and the silence is almost a presence. There is a faint outline of a feeling, a shadow of a moment you once lived. You lean closer, allowing your awareness to wash gently over it. Slowly, color returns. Sounds and textures unfold. The brain's quiet mechanisms, synapses forming, neurons firing in delicate patterns, are rebuilding what was once thought inaccessible. You feel a tender sense of wonder. What seems lost is often simply waiting to be rediscovered, waiting for the patient curiosity of your mind. As you move, you begin to see the connections forming between memories. A smell triggers a distant conversation, a shape in the clouds evokes a childhood afternoon, a melody brings a forgotten friend into focus. Each association is a thread, weaving together different parts of your mind, different moments in your life. These threads are not perfect, they fray, they tangle, but they are resilient. The mind has an almost magical capacity to reroute, to patch itself where it has worn thin, to create new pathways when old ones fade. This is the essence of neuroplasticity, a quiet, persistent ability to adapt and grow, even in the smallest corners of your awareness. You notice how gently you can guide this process. There is no need for force, no need for judgment. The mind responds to gentle repetition, to the soft attention of noticing. You trace the outline of a memory again, whispering to it in the language of your awareness. The details return with subtle shifts. A face smiles differently, a tree leans in a new way, the colors are slightly altered. And yet, the memory is enriched by this movement. It is alive, malleable, capable of being woven into your present in ways that feel nourishing rather than intrusive. You realize that each act of remembering is also an act of creation, a small, intimate shaping of your inner landscape. Patterns emerge, and you begin to see the mind as a loom. Each experience, each thought, each sensation is a thread. Some threads are vibrant and strong, others faint and fragile. Yet all are essential. You notice how threads can be rewoven, combined in new ways, layered with subtlety. Even threads you once considered broken or lost can be reincorporated, strengthened by the gentle, patient hand of attention. Your awareness is the shuttle, carrying threads across the spaces of your consciousness, weaving them into patterns that are uniquely yours. The process is rhythmic, almost musical. There is a pulse to the way thoughts and memories move, a cadence to the rewiring of synapses. You follow it like a soft current, letting the mind float along the gentle waves. Sometimes a memory returns in a shimmer, a flash of light that ripples outward and touches something else. Sometimes, a thought bends unexpectedly, joining with another in a surprising harmony. You sense that the mind is playful, even in its seriousness, finding new ways to combine old pieces into forms that are meaningful, beautiful, and sometimes mysterious. You wander into a memory of a quiet afternoon, one you hadn't thought of for years. The sun is low, scattering light across the room. You remember the scent of tea, the soft rustle of pages turning, the subtle hum of life in the background. As you dwell in this memory, you notice a small detail you had never seen before, the curve of the cup's handle, the way the light reflects on a polished surface. Your attention brings these details forward, and in doing so, reshapes the memory. It is not that the memory changes completely, but that your perception of it evolves. You are co-creating the experience, weaving past and present together in the loom of awareness. This gentle act of shaping memories extends to emotions as well. A memory that once carried a twinge of sadness can be revisited with compassion. You notice the layers of feeling, the subtleties that were once hidden. You allow them space, breathe with them, and in this process, the emotional threads find new patterns. A memory of fear may soften, a memory of loss may gain a thread of warmth. The mind does not erase, but it mends, offering continuity without rigidity, fluidity without chaos. Even the smallest, most fleeting recollections are touched by this gentle rewiring. A snippet of song, a flicker of motion, a scent caught in passing, all become threads that the mind can weave into larger patterns. The brain's ability to adapt is quiet but persistent, always active, like a river flowing beneath the surface of the mind. You realize that you are not merely recalling the past, you are participating in an ongoing creation, a quiet artistry of perception, memory, and attention. As you trace these threads, you feel a sense of peace. There is no rush, no need to control the process. The mind works in its own time, responding to gentle curiosity and patient care. You allow yourself to drift, to notice, to feel, and to witness the slow, steady unfolding of mental landscapes. Each memory, each emotion, each subtle shift in awareness is part of a vast, interconnected tapestry, resilient and alive. You pause at the edge of a particularly faint memory, one that feels almost unreachable. With a soft intention, you let your attention settle, like a leaf drifting onto a calm pond. Slowly, the image sharpens. Colors, sounds, and textures return in delicate increments. You feel a quiet joy in this rediscovery, a wonder at the mind's capacity to reclaim what was once dim. And yet, you understand that this process is never final. Memories continue to evolve, connections continue to form, and the loom of your mind is always ready to weave anew. In this gentle exploration, you begin to sense the deeper truth of your own brain's rhythm. Growth is not always visible in large leaps, it often occurs in subtle, almost imperceptible shifts. Yet these small shifts accumulate, creating patterns of resilience, creativity, and understanding. You realize that each moment of attention, each act of mindful recollection, is a thread contributing to the larger tapestry of your being. There is continuity in change, grace in adaptation, and beauty in the unfolding of the mind's quiet, persistent artistry. You linger a moment longer, letting the warmth of rediscovered memories settle around you. The loom continues its silent weaving, threads connecting, separating, and reconnecting in endless cycles. You are both observer and participant, co-creating the patterns of your consciousness with gentle patience. And as you prepare to drift from this chapter of exploration, you sense the soft pull of something new just beyond your awareness, a question waiting to be felt, a pattern waiting to be noticed, a journey yet to begin in the spaces where memory and imagination meet. Close your eyes and imagine a hidden garden, tucked away beyond the noise of daily life. This is no ordinary garden, but one that exists inside you, in the delicate terrain of your mind. Here, tiny seeds, your neurons, rest silently beneath the soil of consciousness. Some have been disturbed, broken, or scattered, yet they remain full of potential, waiting for the gentle push of sunlight and water. The brain is not a rigid structure, it is soft, pliant, and endlessly inventive. When injury touches it, whether through trauma, stress, or illness, it does not surrender. Instead, it whispers to itself in a secret language of chemical signals, urging dormant seeds to awaken. Imagine these tiny neurons stretching their roots through rich, unseen soil, seeking the faintest glimmer of light. Each stretch is slow, patient, a quiet defiance against damage. You wander through this garden slowly, noticing the pathways that once guided thought like well-trodden trails. Some are blocked or crumbled, leaving gaps where connections once flowed easily. But the garden is not frozen in loss, it begins to weave new paths, bending and curling in unexpected directions. Dendrites, delicate branches of neurons, reach toward one another like tendrils of ivy, finding partners they had never touched before. You watch in awe as these new connections spark tiny flashes of electricity, silent yet profound, a gentle hum that fills the mind with possibility. Healing here is not abrupt or loud. It does not demand attention or force itself into being. It moves like mist rising in the morning, subtle and patient. Sometimes you only notice a small shift, a feeling remembered that was once lost, a thought made easier, a moment of clarity that seems to appear from nowhere. Each of these is a bloom in the garden, evidence of resilience growing quietly, persistently. The neurons are nourished not only by the internal rhythms of your body but also by the care you give yourself. Gentle attention, curiosity, and rest act as sunlight and water. Sleep, especially, becomes the night rain that seeps into the soil, carrying nutrients across the vast neural landscape. During these quiet hours, the garden works tirelessly, repairing and reinforcing, stretching new roots into territories that seemed barren. Sometimes you see clusters of growth forming, unexpected patterns that remind you of wildflowers in a meadow. These are the new neural networks that emerge after injury, a testament to the brain's inventiveness. They may not look like the old paths you knew. They may twist, spiral, and curve in unfamiliar ways. And yet, they serve their purpose just as well, sometimes even more elegantly than before. In this, there is a deep lesson. Resilience is not about returning to the exact way things were, but about finding new ways to thrive. As you walk further, you notice the gentle interplay of light and shadow across the garden. Some areas are bright and active, where neurons communicate swiftly and fluently. Others remain in soft dimness, slower to awaken, but no less vital. Growth is not uniform, and progress is not a straight line. Yet every sprout, every spark of connection, contributes to the whole. Even the smallest thread of a new pathway can carry enormous significance, linking regions of thought that had seemed forever disconnected. You pause to feel this subtle rhythm, this invisible pulse that carries both memory and potential. The injured brain is like a river slowly finding a new course after a landslide. It may curve unexpectedly, spill over unfamiliar banks, yet water continues to flow, carving its way through the landscape with quiet determination. You sense that nothing is wasted here. Every lost connection leaves space for creativity, every disruption opens a niche for invention. In the garden of neurons, mistakes and failures are not punishments. They are nutrients. They dissolve into the soil, feeding future growth, and reminding you that even in imperfection, there is purpose. A neuron that fails to fire in one pattern may discover another, forming links that were impossible before. You see how adaptable the garden is, how it thrives precisely because it is flexible, tender, and responsive. Notice now the interplay of color, texture, and sound in this inner space. Bright sparks flicker like fireflies along dendritic branches. Soft currents of chemical whispers hum across the synapses. The garden is alive with activity, yet it moves in a calm, measured pace. There is no rush, no urgency, only the persistent, patient unfolding of life. Each new connection is a story, a tiny triumph, a quiet victory over injury. Sometimes, in moments of deep stillness, you feel a wave of gratitude for the brain's invisible labor. You realize that every thought you have, every memory recalled, every skill regained, is the product of countless unseen efforts. These neurons are your allies, your companions in the slow journey of recovery. You may not see each sprout grow day by day, but when you pause to look, the garden has changed, subtly, beautifully, undeniably. And so, you move forward, step by step, breathing with the rhythm of this inner world. You notice how each moment of mindfulness, each act of self-care, feeds the hidden garden. You understand that healing is neither abrupt nor complete, it is an ongoing process, a gentle weaving of possibility, patience, and light. You walk among the growing pathways, carrying both awe and tenderness, knowing that every small connection matters. The neurons, like seeds in fertile soil, remind you that resilience is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, persistent, and patient. It is a gentle miracle that unfolds in moments too subtle to measure, yet too profound to ignore. And as you leave this inner garden for now, you carry a sense of soft wonder, a recognition that the brain's ability to grow, adapt, and renew itself is a gift that continues to surprise, even in the smallest of sparks. You linger on the thought that even when pathways seem lost, new connections are quietly forming, ready to bloom into the next chapter of understanding. You begin by noticing the quiet pull of time, as though it flows around you like a slow, warm stream. Each moment arrives, lingers, and drifts away, carrying with it the subtle shifts within your mind. You do not chase it, nor resist it. You simply notice its presence, like leaves carried gently along a river's surface. Your thoughts are the water's ripples, and the currents of time move beneath, steady and unfaltering. In this river of experience, you realize that the brain is not a machine racing against a clock. It is a garden, and each seed of thought or memory requires a gentle rhythm to grow. You witness how repetition acts like sunlight, returning day after day to nurture neural connections. Each time you recall a comforting image, practice a skill, or gently focus your attention, you trace pathways that slowly thicken, become resilient, and glow faintly with life. Rest is equally essential. You feel the soft ebbing of energy, the natural pause between effort and learning. In these quiet intervals, the brain sifts through experiences, pruning unnecessary branches and reinforcing those that matter most. This silent work is unseen yet profound. It is the quiet miracle of consolidation, where memories are woven into the tapestry of your mind. You imagine neurons like tiny dancers, moving in synchrony during sleep, rehearsing each step so that when morning comes, you are more whole than before. Mindful attention is another current in this river of time. You practice the art of noticing, of letting the present moment settle around you like warm, amber light. Each sensation, the gentle pressure of the mattress, the faint rustle of leaves outside, the rhythm of your own breath, becomes an anchor. By paying attention with softness, without judgment or hurry, you allow your brain to align with its own natural cycles. You begin to understand that learning and healing are not bursts of force but waves that crest and fall, carrying nutrients to hidden places. Repetition, rest, attention, together they form a dance. You sense how they spiral, looping back on themselves, a gentle cycle of growth and renewal. It is not linear, there is no finish line. Each moment of awareness, each pause of reflection, is a step along a pathway that strengthens unseen connections. Your mind, once scattered, now flows more like a stream that curves around stones, dipping and rising, finding ease in its own course. As you move through this chapter of awareness, you notice the slow hum of recovery. It is a rhythm that cannot be hurried. You think of neurons forming bridges, one axon to another, in the quiet of the night, long after your conscious mind has settled. These connections are fragile yet persistent, shaped by tiny gestures repeated with care, a mindful breath, a remembered word, a patient smile to yourself. Healing is not an emergency, it is a soft unfolding, like petals opening in the first light of morning. You drift deeper into the sensations of time's currents. Imagine each day as a gentle wave, carrying memories, knowledge, and emotion forward. Some waves are high and bright, some small and nearly invisible, yet all contribute to the ongoing shaping of your inner landscape. You float in awareness, noticing how each repetition, each restful pause, strengthens your sense of self and deepens your calm. The brain's plasticity is a gentle companion here, quietly remodeling itself in response to your experiences. Every act of focus, every restful moment, is a conversation with your own neural architecture. You do not force change, you invite it. You watch the process with patience, understanding that cycles of effort and ease, tension and release, are the natural language of growth. Like a river that wears down rock not by force but by persistence, your mind evolves in subtle, enduring ways. Sleep becomes a landscape you traverse with attention. You imagine the hippocampus, a delicate library of memory, cataloging each experience and arranging it with care. While you rest, the brain prunes, organizes, and strengthens, converting fragments of information into patterns that guide your behavior and understanding. It is a rhythmical ballet, imperceptible yet vital. Each night you surrender to it, allowing the currents of time and cycles of restoration to carry you toward renewal. You also sense the gentle rhythm in daily routines. Morning sunlight, a warm cup of tea, the act of writing or drawing, all are repetitions that speak to your brain in a language it understands. These small, deliberate acts reinforce pathways, creating comfort and familiarity. Over time, they become anchors, lighthouses guiding you through moments of stress or uncertainty. You begin to recognize the invisible scaffolding of your mind, built slowly through patience and intention. Attention, too, requires kindness. You notice when your focus drifts, when thoughts wander into worry or distraction. Instead of frustration, you offer gentle redirection, like guiding a small boat back into the current. Each act of noticing, each mindful return, strengthens not only attention but also self-compassion. You understand that growth is not about perfection, it is about persistence within softness. Time, repetition, rest, attention, together they create a cyclical rhythm that is neither hurried nor delayed. You feel yourself moving within this rhythm, floating alongside it with quiet understanding. You notice how one day blends into another, how experiences accumulate like sediments forming new landscapes within the brain. You are not separate from this process, you are both participant and observer, moving with the current while marveling at its quiet power. You reflect on patience as a vital companion. Just as rivers carve valleys over centuries, your neural pathways are sculpted gradually. There is beauty in this slow shaping, a poetry in each connection made, strengthened, and held. You feel a sense of gratitude toward your own capacity for change, a soft recognition that every mindful moment is a stitch in a larger tapestry. Recovery is a gentle teacher. You learn that it is not a race, not a demand for immediate transformation. It is the unfolding of subtle rhythms, a dance of micro-moments that accumulate into resilience. Each repetition, each pause, each act of attention, contributes to a deeper sense of wholeness. You sense the quiet joy in noticing small improvements, in feeling the soft strengthening of pathways that were once fragile. And so, as you continue floating in these currents of time, you carry with you a sense of wonder. You notice the gentle spirals of repetition, the quiet beauty of rest, the attentive grace of presence. You recognize that healing and learning are intertwined, cycles of growth that cannot be rushed but can be embraced with calm. Each moment becomes a soft affirmation that the brain, like a river, moves with its own wisdom. The currents of time guide you onward, carrying with them the promise of new chapters, new waves of understanding. You rest in the rhythm of growth, in the soft unfolding of your own mind, knowing that each gentle repetition, each patient pause, brings you closer to deeper insight. And as you drift toward the edge of awareness, you sense a new question waiting quietly in the next current, one that will carry you into a fresh exploration of the brain's boundless, mysterious capacities. Imagine yourself walking through a quiet garden just after dawn. The air is soft, carrying the scent of damp earth and early blossoms. Each step you take feels intentional, a gentle press against the soil, grounding you. In this garden, the paths are not laid with concrete or stone, but with currents of light and subtle vibrations, invisible yet profoundly present. These currents are your emotions, flowing quietly but shaping the world around you. Joy sparkles like sunlight filtering through leaves, curiosity hums in the soft sway of branches, and calm is the gentle weight of moss under your feet. As you walk, notice how each emotion touches the ground differently. Joy tends to scatter seeds effortlessly, planting new ideas and connections across your mind's landscape. Curiosity nudges you toward corners you might otherwise overlook, illuminating details in the shadows. Calm creates a stable foundation, allowing roots to grow deep, anchoring new learning with patience. In contrast, stress can be like a sudden storm, washing away fragile sprouts and leaving the soil compacted and hard. Yet, even these storms carry lessons. Patterns of struggle are as informative as moments of delight. Inside your brain, these landscapes have a physical counterpart. Neurons, like the tendrils of ancient trees, reach out to form connections called synapses. Each experience, every flicker of feeling, influences how these tendrils weave together. Positive emotions, joy, curiosity, calm, encourage flexibility, promoting new pathways and richer networks. Stress, in contrast, can narrow these connections, favoring survival pathways over exploration and creativity. Yet, the beauty of your brain is its plasticity. It is not a fixed map but a living garden, capable of reshaping itself over time. Awareness acts as a careful gardener, guiding growth without force, simply noticing where light and water are needed. Picture a single neuron as a delicate branch. When it reaches toward another neuron, it sends out tiny projections, seeking contact. If it meets a receptive partner, a new connection forms, strengthened over time by repeated interaction. Emotions act as signals in this dance. Joy may encourage the branch to extend further, reaching into uncharted areas. Calm allows the connection to stabilize, thickening its fibers and making the communication resilient. Stress, however, may cause the branch to retract, hesitant to explore. But even retreat is not permanent. With patience and gentle attention, it can extend once more. Consider your own experiences as gardener's tools. Each moment of wonder, each whisper of awe, is like sunlight on a leaf, energizing growth. Every act of reflection or mindful breathing is water, seeping into the soil, nourishing roots. Even moments of tension or sadness act as compost, enriching the ground when allowed to decompose naturally, turning past struggles into fertile soil for future connections. The mind does not distinguish between grand discoveries and quiet realizations. Every experience shapes the terrain, sometimes subtly, sometimes in sweeping arcs. Your emotional awareness is like walking with a lantern in the garden at dusk. The light is gentle, never forcing the path, simply illuminating what is already present. You notice where sprouts struggle for light, where the soil has become compacted, and where new growth pushes confidently upward. This awareness does not judge, it observes. With this presence, you can encourage the brain's natural inclination toward resilience and connection. A deep breath in, a pause in thought, a moment of gentle curiosity, these small acts guide neurons to seek each other out, creating bridges that were previously unimagined. Think about the rhythm of waves along a quiet shore. Some waves arrive gently, barely stirring the sand, while others crash with intensity. Emotions operate much the same way. Joy can ripple outward in soft, expansive arcs, touching distant neurons. Curiosity, like a persistent tide, nudges exploration into unvisited areas of the mind. Calm, steady as the deepest currents, holds the soil in place, giving stability to what is growing. Stress can surge violently, reshaping the shoreline, but with awareness, the tide can be understood and guided, turning disruption into reformation rather than destruction. Even memory is shaped by these currents. Events touched by strong emotions, whether delight, wonder, or fear, leave deeper impressions. The brain tags these moments as significant, encouraging the growth of connections that link not just neurons but patterns of thought and behavior. You begin to see that your emotional experiences are not ephemeral, they are the very soil from which your understanding, resilience, and creativity grow. In this way, the garden of the mind is never still, it responds, adapts, and thrives according to the emotional climate you cultivate. Now, imagine a small seedling pushing through soft earth, fragile yet determined. This seedling represents a new idea, a new skill, or a subtle shift in perspective. If it is nurtured with joy, curiosity, and calm, it will grow strong and resilient. If neglected or overshadowed by stress, it may bend or wither. Yet even here, the story is not absolute. Gentle attention, mindful practice, and compassionate awareness can rescue, redirect, and rejuvenate the most fragile sprouts. Growth is rarely linear. It curves, it bends, it returns to sunlight in its own time. Your thoughts can be likened to the garden's tendrils, stretching, weaving, and sometimes tangling. When you notice these patterns without judgment, you create room for understanding and reorganization. Awareness acts like a soft rain, encouraging tangled connections to realign naturally, supporting the brain's inclination toward balance and coherence. You are both observer and participant in this living ecosystem, capable of influencing the growth of pathways with patience and intention. Every breath you take moves like a gentle wind through this inner garden, stirring the leaves, carrying pollen from one bloom to another. Breath is a bridge between mind and body, linking emotional awareness to the physical rhythms that support life. When you inhale, consider it a gathering of energy and potential. When you exhale, a release of tension and old habits. With each cycle, the neurons respond, synapses strengthen, and the garden thrives. As you continue walking through this luminous landscape, notice how your feelings ebb and flow. Some moments bring clarity and expansion, while others invite rest or reflection. Each has value. Joy may guide exploration, curiosity may spark insight, calm may solidify understanding, and even stress may offer lessons hidden beneath its surface. By observing without judgment, you cultivate a space where the mind can flourish, a sanctuary for growth and gentle transformation. And so, the garden of your mind unfolds, shaped by the tender interplay of emotions and awareness. Each step is a conversation between your feelings and your neurons, each breath a reinforcement of connection, each pause a moment for roots to deepen. Over time, the garden becomes richer, more resilient, more responsive. You discover that you are not merely walking through this landscape, you are co-creating it, in quiet, gentle ways, with every thought, every breath, every emotion. The beauty of this process is its subtlety. Change rarely arrives in sudden bursts, it flows like sap through the branches, almost imperceptibly at first, yet steadily, persistently, until the garden blooms in ways you could not have predicted. Awareness is the sunlight and rain that guides the growth without forcing it, the gentle hand that encourages rather than commands. And in this awareness, you find not just a reflection of the mind's wiring, but a pathway toward resilience, creativity, and serene understanding. You lie down and close your eyes. The world around you softens, colors dim, and the gentle hum of the day fades into a distant echo. At first, you notice only the rhythm of your breath, the slow rise and fall of your chest, the subtle warmth of your body sinking into the mattress. Yet, within this apparent stillness, a hidden orchestra begins to awaken. Your brain, the conductor of countless invisible symphonies, starts its nightly work. Each neuron, a tiny violin or flute, begins to vibrate with quiet purpose. Some are firing small sparks of memory, replaying fragments of your day, a conversation remembered, a gesture felt, a fleeting emotion noted. These sparks are not random, they are the careful rehearsal of your mind, arranging experiences into patterns that will help you navigate tomorrow. You drift deeper, feeling as though you are gliding alongside these electrical whispers, observing the delicate choreography. The hippocampus, that gentle archivist, moves through your memories. It sorts, files, and sometimes discards, deciding what should be preserved and what should dissolve. You feel the soft brushing of thought against thought, the subtle tug of past and present intertwining. It is not hurried, there is no urgency in this nightly work. The rhythm is slow, methodical, like waves lapping against a quiet shore. You realize that even in your sleep, your mind is learning, connecting, and weaving a tapestry that strengthens who you are. Meanwhile, the cerebral cortex hums with creativity. Dreams begin to stir like morning fog rolling over a still lake. You might not recall the precise shapes or faces that drift through these nocturnal narratives, but you sense the movement, the gentle play of imagination. The cortex is experimenting, trying out scenarios, exploring possibilities, and solving problems in ways your waking mind cannot. You float along with it, feeling the subtle lift of thought as it stretches, bends, and grows. There is a softness here, a quiet curiosity, a sense that even in stillness, life is expanding. Your body, too, participates in this nightly symphony. Growth hormones pulse like gentle drumbeats, repairing tissues and strengthening muscles. The immune system marches in quiet cadence, fortifying your defenses, clearing debris from a day spent in motion. You sense the invisible tendrils of care weaving through your veins, tendrils that nurture resilience and vitality. Sleep, you realize, is not an absence of activity but a transformation, the body and mind working together in a hidden, intricate harmony. As the night deepens, the slow waves of your brain become more pronounced. Delta rhythms rise and fall, a comforting tide that carries you through restorative stages. Each wave is a lullaby, a whisper from your body that all is well, all is becoming whole. You might feel the edges of a dream, a soft story brushing against your mind, and then it drifts away, leaving only a sensation of completeness. Even when nothing seems to be happening, everything is in motion. There are moments when your sleep flickers, when the mind drifts toward wakefulness. In these intervals, the thalamus, that quiet sentinel, filters the world, keeping it at bay, letting only the softest murmurs through. You feel a protective embrace, a barrier that shields your inner world. You are both present and absent, both asleep and awake, suspended in a delicate equilibrium. Your brain is vigilant and tender at once, a paradox that feels comforting rather than confusing. The amygdala, usually a guardian of alarm and fear, rests now. Its intensity softens, allowing the prefrontal cortex, the seat of reason and reflection, to wander. Emotional memories are processed gently, old anxieties softened, and the weight of the day lifted slightly from your shoulders. You feel, almost physically, the release of tension, the subtle easing of burdens you did not know you carried. Sleep is a gentle sculptor, carving away the unnecessary stress, leaving behind clarity and calm. In the quiet corridors of your mind, synapses strengthen, forming new connections. These are the invisible threads of learning, the pathways that allow skills, knowledge, and intuition to grow. You imagine them as soft threads of silver light, linking idea to idea, memory to memory, emotion to insight. The weaving is continuous, meticulous, patient, a nocturnal craft that ensures you awaken more capable, more attuned, more ready to meet the world with both curiosity and grace. Your dreams, too, are a language of the brain. They speak in metaphors, in abstract patterns that hint at deeper understanding. Sometimes they bring joy, sometimes uncertainty, sometimes the faint echo of old wounds. You drift beside these narratives without judgment, allowing them to flow, to be observed, to be felt. Each dream is a gentle rehearsal for living, a space where emotion and thought can dance freely, safely, and imaginatively. Time, in this quiet nocturnal space, seems to dissolve. You are not measuring minutes or hours. You are floating within a continuum where repair, reflection, and creativity coexist. Each moment stretches and contracts in rhythm with the waves of your mind. You sense, without naming it, that this process is essential, that your resilience, your memory, your very sense of self are nourished in these hidden hours. As the night slowly wanes, lighter rhythms begin to stir. Sleep cycles shift, preparing you for eventual awakening. But there is no rush. You rest within the understanding that the brain's nightly labor is ongoing, that each stage contributes to your health, your growth, your inner balance. You feel gratitude for this invisible work, for the tender, tireless orchestration that unfolds while you are still. And as you hover on the edge between deepest sleep and the approach of dawn, you notice a subtle continuity. The processes that heal, repair, and imagine are not confined to night alone. They are part of an unbroken thread of life, stretching from moment to moment, day to day. You sense, as if brushing against the tip of a thought yet to fully form, that the mind and body are in dialogue, that even when one chapter of sleep ends, the next chapter of life's subtle work continues. You rest, carried gently by the tides of your own brain, feeling its quiet diligence, its infinite patience, its tender creativity. And as the night whispers its final notes, a question hovers softly in your awareness, an unspoken curiosity for the next phase of this inner journey, waiting to unfold in the morning light. You sit quietly in your inner space, feeling the soft rhythm of your breath as it rises and falls, like the tide touching a gentle shore. Your mind, once a restless forest of tangled thoughts, has shifted gradually, silently, like the steady erosion of stone by a river. Each thought that once felt urgent now drifts past like clouds, and each memory carries a subtle luminescence, as though your neurons themselves have learned to glow with understanding. You notice how adaptability is not a sudden change but a gentle unfolding, a dance of countless microscopic adjustments across your brain's intricate landscape. The concept of neuroplasticity unfolds before you like a slow, poetic symphony. Each neuron, a delicate bridge of possibility, reaches toward another, forming connections you might not have imagined before. Some pathways have faded, quietly retired after years of use, while others have emerged with patient insistence, carving new routes through your mental terrain. You imagine these connections as threads of light, weaving patterns that reflect your thoughts, your experiences, and the subtle shifts in your perspective. The brain, in its infinite wisdom, is never truly static. It is always quietly shaping itself to the rhythm of your attention and care. You remember the times when frustration seemed overwhelming, when change felt impossible. Now, those memories rest gently in the background, like old books on a high shelf, valuable yet undemanding. Your neurons, like seasoned gardeners, have learned to prune the unnecessary, nurture the potential, and patiently wait for the right moment to bloom. You sense the invisible work happening within, the silent strengthening of pathways that support compassion, creativity, and calm presence. Each breath you take is a tiny signal, a whisper to your mind that it is safe to grow, to explore, to become. As you focus on the idea of patience, you feel its subtle power ripple through your consciousness. Patience is not idle waiting, it is the quiet acknowledgement that change unfolds in its own rhythm. In the brain, this rhythm is measured in milliseconds and hours, days and months, each moment a chance for a new connection to take root. You imagine the neurons stretching toward one another, slowly forming the scaffolding of insight, resilience, and understanding. There is a gentle elegance in this process, a reminder that transformation does not need force, only consistency and care. Your thoughts drift to the concept of possibility. The brain, infinitely adaptable, carries within it the seeds of countless potentialities. Every new experience, every act of attention, every kind word you offer yourself is a small catalyst for growth. You feel as though you are walking through a vast landscape where each step softly rearranges the terrain, creating hills of knowledge, valleys of reflection, and rivers of insight. The topography is not fixed, it is fluid, responsive, and alive. You begin to sense that your mind, once a rigid structure, is now a gentle ecosystem, resilient, open, and luminous with potential. You reflect on the miracle of memory, not as a static recording of events, but as a living, breathing process. Memories are reconstructed each time they are recalled, allowing you to reinterpret, reframe, and gently reshape your past. This process is not about erasing pain or discomfort. It is about integrating, understanding, and allowing your experiences to inform the growth of your mind. You see your memories as soft lanterns along a winding path, each one illuminating a part of your journey and guiding you toward new understanding. Even the memories that once felt heavy now serve as teachers, offering quiet wisdom to accompany you forward. Compassion emerges naturally in this reflective space. You recognize the quiet work your brain has performed to support empathy and connection, often without your conscious awareness. Each act of understanding, each moment of kindness, has reinforced circuits that allow you to approach yourself and others with gentleness. You imagine these circuits like rivers of warm light, flowing steadily and nourishing the terrain around them. Compassion, you realize, is not a trait you must force into existence. It is a natural byproduct of a mind patiently tending to its own growth. Now, your awareness shifts to hope, the quiet, resilient kind that does not demand immediate results. Hope, in the brain, is like a soft current, encouraging exploration, creativity, and openness to the unknown. It is the gentle voice that whispers, "There is more to discover, more to understand, more to become." You feel this hope in the subtle tightening and loosening of neural pathways, in the ease with which your thoughts begin to expand outward, touching ideas and possibilities previously unseen. Hope is not passive, it is the soft engine of transformation, urging each neuron to reach for its potential. You consider the brain's infinite potential. Even now, in this very moment, countless possibilities lie dormant, waiting for the gentle attention of your awareness. The brain does not demand perfection or haste, it only asks for presence and care. You feel a serene trust in this process, recognizing that growth is ongoing, and that each gentle effort, no matter how small, resonates through your neural networks. You imagine yourself as both gardener and observer, planting seeds of curiosity, tending them with patience, and watching as the mind unfolds in quiet wonder. As the chapter progresses, you sense a soft integration of all you have learned on this journey. The brain's adaptability, the subtle power of patience, the quiet miracle of memory, the flowing current of compassion and hope, they are no longer abstract concepts. They are living experiences within you, a harmonious symphony of thought, feeling, and awareness. You feel the mind expanding gently, like a field opening to the morning sun, each neuron contributing its small brilliance to the larger landscape. The final reflection emerges naturally. Transformation is not a destination but a journey, one that continues in subtle, imperceptible ways. You notice the rhythm of your breath again, slow and steady, and recognize that each inhale carries the potential for new insight, while each exhale releases what no longer serves you. In this space, you feel a profound serenity, a sense that your mind, though never complete, is infinitely capable. You recognize that guidance is gentle, that growth is patient, and that every moment holds the quiet possibility of change. And as you sit in this luminous awareness, a soft curiosity begins to stir. What new paths will your mind explore next?